listen to Bhashan. So why will anyone listen to, privileged people from a city coming and telling them, yeah, तेरे को ये करना है, ये नहीं करना है. किसी को उसमें interest नहीं. So we have to think in an out of the box manner. So out of the box manner that we selected is we said. So I'll just give you I'll tell you one other thing that we realized is we investigated what is it that was preventing other villages. I said कि यार बगल वाला village क्यों नहीं करता है? अलीगढ़ सिटी कर रहा है, रेलवे बाजार कर रहा है, तो उसके बगल वाला village क्यों नहीं कर रहा है? तो उसके बगल वाला village इसलिए नहीं कर रहा है because in order to solve this problem, you need to get people together. To decentralize watershed management, आपको project लाके आपका काम होगा नहीं. 10 JCB लाए, पोखरेज मशीन आया, आपने पैसा खर्च किया, उससे नहीं होगा. The village community has to get together, and that we discovered is the single most important ingredient for solving the problem of drought. So पानी एक ऐसी चीज है, even if you want to drink water with your hands, you need to bring all the fingers together. Unless all the fingers come together, then water is not going to stay, right? So similarly, if you want to do watershed management, think of different parts of society like the fingers of your hand. जब तक all those different parts of society they don't come together, you're not going to be able to solve for water. So you said the primary problem therefore is not technology. The primary problem is unity. So can we get people together? So how to get people together? We said bhashan nahi karte, let's turn this into something which is enjoyable. So today you see that there are games for everything. So there's a kabaddi tournament league, there's a cricket league, there's a मतलब आप सोचो ड्रामा के लिए कंपटीशन है, हर चीज के लिए कंपटीशन है with big prizes. But something so important for people as water, उसके लिए there's no competition. उसके लिए there are only government schemes. So we said, can we create an IPL for water? And that was the Satyameva Jayate Water Cup. So what did Paani Foundation do? Paani Foundation kept large cash prizes. So the first year our top prizes were 50 lakhs, 30 lakhs, 20 lakhs, which went to the Gram Panchayat. So it's not going to an individual. Second thing, what did we do? We said that if you want to take part in the competition, this has to be knowledge based. So you have to participate in a 4-day residential training, and half of the trainees have to be women. So our offering was, number one is to create a competition. So there's certain excitement about it. Number two is to provide the knowledge. And number three is in the design of the competition, we brought in an element which we felt would be a game changer. And that element was Shramna. Voluntary manual labor. कि आपको अपने हाथ से मेहनत से आपको काम करना है. तो ये voluntary manual labor वाली जो बात है, सब लोगों ने कहा कि यार ये तो मशीन का युग है, लोग AI की बात कर रहे हैं और आप लोग हाथ से काम करने की बात कर रहे हैं. So why would you have people working with their hands when in fact you can work with a machine? So is that what you want me to adjust myself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Is this good? Yeah, but I'm just getting the okay. I'm good now. Am I still in? All right. You're good?
Yeah.
Okay. So I continue. So I said, how do you get people, and why is it that you're so keen on people working with their hands? So the reason is very simple. If you're solving for social unity, how do you get people to put aside differences of years? And those differences are based primarily on politics. So, आप फलाने पार्टी के दूसरे पार्टी का है. Then of course there are the other usual contenders. There's caste, there's religion, there's पुरानी दुश्मनियां कि आपके आजूबा ने मेरे आजूबा के साथ ऐसा बर्ताव किया था, whatever. तो ये सब चीजें आपके भाषण से नहीं दूर नहीं होंगी. आपको इसको दूर करना है तो प्रैक्टिकली दूर करना पड़ेगा. सो द एक्साइटमेंट ऑफ वर्किंग फॉर योर विलेज में गांव को एक साथ आके श्रमदान अगर करना पड़ेगा, तो अभी मैं मराठी में बोलता हूँ, तुम्ही जेव्हा एकत्र घाम गाळता तेव्हा खूप भिंती सोबत पडतात. when you shed sweat together, then a lot of differences in walls they get dissolved. So this was the hypothesis with which we started. So in year one, we started with just 3 talukas in Maharashtra in 3 different agroclimatic zones. And we said, let's see what happens. It was such a huge success that in year 2, we scaled up 10x. And in year 3, we scaled up 25x. So within 24 months, we had covered most of drought-prone Maharashtra. And I'm going to pause here and I'm going to show you a clip which gives you an idea of what villagers had achieved in just 24 months. It's an old film. It was made in 2018, but it's relevant to understanding what the attempt in terms of scaling technology through a people's movement was. So let's just have a look at our clip.
The wheels of time keep turning. Seasons change. The blistering heat of May and June creates a yearning for the rains. And then, every year, the monsoon arrives. Sometimes it is plentiful, sometimes scarce, but come it does every year. And so it did this year too.
त्या दिवशी पहिला पूर आला आणि शिशिट्या अशा टुम भरल्या, तळे टुम भरले. सकाळी 7 वाजता जाऊन पूर्ण लोक ते डोंगरा बघून असे उड्या मारत होते, तळेत नाचायला पवायला लागले, असे हे माझं पाणी म्हणून.
मी जे शेततळ तयार केलं तर ते शेततळ भरलेलं बघून मला आनंद मायलने मी पहिल्यांदा उडी मारल्यावर बाकीची लेकरं उडी मारली.
अनुभव असा म्हणजे की पावसामध्ये पोरांनी लगेवर जाऊन शूटिंग केली, एवढं भारी दिसायला की वाटायला लागलं हे काम संपायला नाही पाहिजे, पूर्ण डोंगर शिवारच निघायला पाहिजे होता.
In thousands of Maharashtrian villages, this year it is as if a miracle occurred. This year, the rainwater did not leave villages. It made its home there. This has been achieved by a people's movement. The fruit of the sweat and toil of those who took on the mission of making their villages water abundant by taking part in the Satyamev Jayate Water Cup contest. Both government and prominent leaders of industry generously supported this people's initiative. The contest started in the year 2016 with just 3 talukas in Maharashtra. Expanded in 2017 to 30 talukas and grew 25 times this year, 2018, to reach 75 talukas across Maharashtra. More than 4,000 villages participated. Over a 2-month period, more than 20,000 villagers were trained in the science of watershed management. These villagers then returned to their villages to sow the seeds of a water revolution. The Water Cup was scheduled to begin on the 8th of April. But from the night of April 7th itself, lakhs of water warriors, fully armed to take on the drought, kept vigil for the battle to begin. At the stroke of midnight, their army launched a determined attack to vanquish drought. A wild dream to free oneself in just 45 days from the shackles of drought with one's own might. People joined hands, putting aside social divisions and old rivalries. With every passing day, the army of water warriors grew. In these 45 days, the rising and setting sun saw many a miracle unfold. Somewhere it was woman power, elsewhere the determination of youth, or even an army of children.
मी सर्व विद्यार्थ्यांना तयार केलं व आमची एक घट्ट तुफान सेना तयार करायची. माझी 150 मुलांची टीम आहे.
Even seniors, uncaring of their aches and pains, worked obsessively towards a brighter future for coming generations.
आम्हाला एक तकलीफ होती, संध्याकाळी अंग दुखते, पैसा नसतो इंजेक्शनला, तर 2 ला सुटल्यानंतर दुसऱ्याचा रोजगार करायचा, तिथून 4 रुपये आणायचे आणि मग इंजेक्शन करायचं. पण काम नाही सोडलं, जशी सुट्टी घेतलीच नाही.
अन्न गुडगुडे नाद गुडगुडे दुष्काळ.
By day, the sun was witness to people's madness. And when by night the baton was handed over to the moon, it saw thousands doing Shramdan without a moment's rest. Those 45 days became a festival of labor, full of song, dance, and celebration. By the time the competition came to a close, this grand obsession had transformed the face of entire landscapes. Driven by this collective madness, villagers who had once struggled for a single tanker of water, created with their own hands structures that could harvest more than 222 billion liters of water. If filled in tankers of 10,000 litre capacity, this quantity of water would fill more than 22 million tankers. And if these tankers were lined up, they would circumnavigate the earth more than 3 times. It is this human spirit, this determination, that has kept the rains captive in village after village this year. People are celebrating their newfound affinity with water. Nature and mankind are dancing with joy as they become one.
So, there's a simple chemical formula since we are in NCL. So, what is the formula? It is motivation plus knowledge plus Shramdan is equal to impact. So, we discovered that we had stumbled upon something which was very valuable. Oh, sorry, I forgot. It's too bright. Saukash. Thank you. Sorry, good now? Yes. So the thought behind this was actually quite simple. That actually throwing money at problems does not solve them, but something else might. So let me just underline that by 2019, we did 1 more year of the water law. In those 4 years, villages in Maharashtra created 550 billion liters of water storage capacity. And not one of these structures, not 1 liter of water was created by Paani Foundation. It was not funded. It was done entirely Swayam Prerane through people's own efforts. So it is their achievement, it is their sweat, it is their knowledge, it is their kashta, and it is their money, and it is their water also. Whatever has happened is we played the role of a catalyst. What did the catalyst do? The catalyst provided motivation. It provided knowledge, and the design brought about the idea of Shramdan. That if we can get people to emotionally come together, we can solve a lot of problems. In fact, we had a phrase for it. We said, "Manasandharanatum jalasandharan." जब मन एक साथ आते हैं, तो पानी अपने आप आएगा. So how to get people together now for the next stage is the question we asked ourselves. क्योंकि पानी तो आ गया. More than 1,000 of our villages were water abundant, and they continue to be abundant right down to this day. When they tanker firaklela nahi hai in all these years, so the gains were consolidated. So he said there's no point in just doing a water cup because people are, it's a popular competition. We have to see what is the next stage of that development. So there are 2 very important things that we need to work on. One is ecology. And ecology is, as we all know, is the elephant in the room, because we are all the biggest question for humankind. It doesn't matter whether you are in India or you're in Alaska or you're in Nigeria. This is the single biggest question which is facing us as a species. It's a species level question. We have to deal with it because it's having an impact on every single life. So what do we do for ecological restoration? And the second is, what do you do in terms of sustainable economic livelihoods in the villages? So we wanted to work on these 2 issues. कि पानी आया, अभी पानी से हमें इकोलॉजी को भी रिस्टोर करना है और इकोलॉजी से अच्छे पैसे खेती और तत्सम उद्योगों से कमाने। So both these things needed to be done. So we set out with a new program which we are running even now. It's called Samruddha Gas Spardha, which is the prosperous village competition. And one part of it also had to do with having sustainable and economically lucrative farming. So we created one mini competition which we are running right now, which is called the Satyajit Farmer Cup, where farmers have to come together in groups of at least 20 farmers each, pool together 25 acres of land and collectively do knowledge-based farming. Because small land holdings of 2 acres and 3 acres are not viable. You need to pool it together in a minimum economic size for that farming to be viable. In fact, my colleague Nikhil here, he along with Mohite sir who could make it, they run a Sheti Shala in collaboration with Maharashtra's agricultural universities. So the top scientists in the agricultural universities have been conducting non-stop. We've conducted over 100 Sheti Shalas with huge attendance and with enormous impact on farming practices. How to create SOPization in agriculture? What are those SOPs? How do you select them? How do you create the supply chains for them? How do you implement them? So this is something now in which we have had some experience, and I would have to say that this is an idea whose time had come 25 years back, but we are doing it now. So again, method is the same. What are we doing? We are taking existing proven technology. So is Paani Foundation an innovator? No, you are innovators. We have no technical capacities at all. Our capacities are as communicators. How do we motivate people to utilize proven technology? Because I'm deliberately using the word proven because we don't have the bandwidth or the resources to do the R&D. So somebody who has done their R&D and says, look, I've got a great technology. This can be used by by villagers and it can transform their lives. This is what we want to take to scale. So this is our mandate. So our mandate is not research. Our mandate is not technology in that sense. But we do use a lot of technology. It'll take a lot of time to get into that. But we are deeply interested in any technology which has the capacity to improve the life of the Samanya villager, the Samanya farmer, Samanya, especially the woman in the village. We are all the time looking out for opportunities. So I won't take much time because in a sense, if I start talking about Paani, I'll just go on. And I've already told you that I hate listening to Martians and I'm so sure so do you. So I'll stop here and maybe if there are any comments or we can chat about or I can answer whatever you like. Thank you.
Anyone has any questions? Maybe they can quickly introduce themselves.
Yeah, that would be nice. Me kurchi ke orto pande wala.
ऑनलाईन ऐकूया.
Oh, अच्छा आपण अजूनही ह्याच्यात आहोत ना? हे मागे दिलं.
हॅलो सर, माझं नाव महेश मंडे आहे. मी पुण्यातलाच आहे आणि मी वेंचर सेंटर मध्ये निधी फेलोशिप करत होते आणि आता सध्या माझं स्टार्टअप आहे ज्याच्यामध्ये आम्ही मिलेट्स म्हणजे भरडधान्याचे आहेत, ज्वारी, बाजरी, नाचरी, त्याच्यावर मी काम करतो. माझ्याकडे 90+ भरडधान्याचे पदार्थ आहेत. आम्ही जसं तुम्ही सांगत होतात की ऍज अ कम्युनिटर म्हणून आम्ही काही शेतकऱ्यांबरोबर काम करतोय. नंदुरबार, नाशिक, सोलापूरच्या काही शेतकऱ्यांबरोबर ज्याच्यामध्ये ज्वारीची कम्युनिटी आहे त्याच्यावर. आणि त्याच्यामध्ये आमचे सध्या दोन टॉप सेलिंग प्रॉडक्ट आहेत जे मल्टीपल लाडू आहेत. ते ज्वारी, बाजरी, नाचणी आणि राळ याच्यापासून बनवलेलं आहे आणि बिस्किट आहेत त्याचे. तर आमचं म्हणजे उद्देशच ह्याचा आमच्या स्टार्टअपचा आहे की शेतकऱ्यांचं उत्पन्न वाढलं पाहिजे आणि न्यूट्रिशन आणि प्लस बिझनेस पण सस्टेन झाला पाहिजे. असं आम्ही आता पूर्ण भारतभर हे प्रॉडक्ट सेल करतो. पण सध्या जसं तुम्ही सांगत होता की कसं काय आपण म्हणजे माझा यायचा उद्देश हाच होता की मिलेट्सचं जास्तीत जास्त प्रोडक्शन झालं पाहिजे. कारण पुढच्या वर्षी आंतरराष्ट्रीय भरडधान्य वर्ष आहे. तर पुढच्या वर्षी दाखवायला भरडधान्य मिळणार नाही. आता सध्या परिस्थिती तशी आहे. भरडधान्याला खूप कमी प्रमाणात पाणी लागतंय. पाण्यावर आपलं काम चालू आहे. मी स्वतःही पाणी फाउंडेशनचा पार्ट होतो, तालुका कोऑर्डिनेटर होतो 2018 साली पुरंदर तालुक्यामध्ये होतो. तर मला भरपूर म्हणजे तुमचं मोबिलायझेशन खूप चांगलं आहे. जसं आमच्याकडे काही टेक्नॉलॉजी आहेत किंवा काही आयडियाज आहेत की जे आपण तुमच्या थ्रू आपण इम्प्लिमेंट करू शकतो. मिलेट्स मध्ये आता म्हटलं तर शेतकऱ्यांचं उत्पन्न वाढत नाहीये, त्या व्हरायटी नाही आहे व्हरायटी. मोठमोठ्या रिसर्च स्टेशन आहे जे हैदराबादला, तर तिकडं आहे, पण त्या शेतकऱ्यांपर्यंत पोहोचत नाहीये. व्हरायटी नाही पोहोचत, प्लस ज्या इम्प्रूव्ह प्रॅक्टिस आहेत की कशा पद्धतीने बरं म्हणजे पारंपरिक पद्धतीने म्हणजे खूप 1960 नंतर थोडं कमी झालं, 80 पासून कमी, पण आधी शेतकऱ्यांना माहिती, पण त्याच पारंपरिक पद्धती लावत आल्या ज्याच्यामुळे त्यांना उत्पन्न पण खूप कमी मिळतंय. जर आपण भरड धान्याचं उत्पन्न, आता प्रत्येकाला महत्व माहिती झालंय, आता प्रत्येक जण मिलेट्स खायला आता म्हणजे इंटरेस्टेड आहे, पण मिळत नाहीये, आणि मिळत आहे तर खूप हायर प्राइसला मिळतंय, आणि शेतकऱ्यांना खूप जी काही सप्लाय चेन आहे त्याच्यामध्ये भरपूर गॅप्स आहेत. तर ते आपण पाणी फाउंडेशनच्या माध्यमातून कसं काय करू शकतो ते डिटेलमध्ये आपण बोलूया. पण
हे खूप बरं वाटलं महेश, आणि खूप आनंद वाटला तुम्हाला पुन्हा भेटलो.
लास्ट इयर तुमच्याकडून कोणतरी आले होते माझ्याकडे, त्यांच्याबरोबर माझं खूप डिस्कशन झालं, पण ते मला म्हणले की नाही आम्हाला फक्त ज्वारीच्या कम्युनिटीवरच काम करायचं, त्याचं प्रोसेसिंग, ग्रेडिंग आणि त्याच्यावरच. तर त्यांना म्हणलं पण ज्वारीवरनं काम होता पूर्ण होलिस्टिक झालं तर दॅट्स गुड, की जे ट्रायबल रिजन किंवा रेनफेड आणि ड्रायलँड रिजन मध्ये खूप चांगलं क्रॉप आहे, आणि ज्वारीवर चालू आहे म्हणजे, आणि त्याच्यात पण काही मिसअंडरस्टँडिंग आहे, काही मिसअंडरस्टँडिंग चालू आहे की ज्वारी खाल्ल्याने तुमची शुगर वाढते, तर मग बरेच ज्वारीचं उत्पन्न पण कमी होत चाललंय सोलापूर रिजन मध्ये. आम्ही आता जरा बरंच फिरतो, केमिकल बरोबर काम करतो ना, तर शेतकऱ्यांचे पण हेच की लोक खात नाहीत, कारण की शुगर पण वाढते, की लोक खात नाही, नॉर्मली लोक खातच नाही ज्वारी, भाकरीशिवाय दुसरे पदार्थ खात नाहीत, असं काही मिसअंडरस्टँडिंग होतं, तर ते आपण कसं काय हे करू शकतो.
बिल्कुल सही बात है. और बस ना प्लीज, तो मिलेट्स का प्रोडक्शन और कंजम्पशन दोनों बढ़ाने की भी बहुत जरूरत है, और उसको एक्चुअली बढ़ाने की बात छोड़िए, हर साल उसका प्रोडक्शन कम 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 हो रहा है. और एक एलिट क्लास अभी बचा है कि जो उसको कंज्यूम करता है. तो ये मतलब बहुत ही दुख की बात है, क्योंकि मिलेट्स ये आपकी सेहत के लिए अच्छा है, इस पृथ्वी की सेहत के लिए भी बहुत अच्छा है, पानी की सेहत के लिए बहुत अच्छा है, और उसका लो ग्लाइसीमिक इंडेक्स है. तो अगर हमारे देश में जो गेहूं और राइस, इसका जो प्रोडक्शन अगर कुछ हद तक मिलेट्स के तरफ बढ़ा, तो पानी की आधी समस्या उसी में मिट जाएगी. तो अब ये कैसे हो, इजी आंसर नहीं है. ये ऐसा है कि अभी क्या हो गया है कि एक जनरेशन बड़ी हो गई है जिसको भाकर काय तेच माहिती नाही. चपाती इतकी वीट सच रुजलेलं आता स्ट्रॉंग झालेलं आहे, आणि अनफॉर्च्युनेटली त्याच्यामध्ये मला वाटतं की वन ऑफ द रिझन्स प्रॉब्लेम्स इज की मिनिमम सपोर्ट प्राइस वरती ऍक्च्युअली ऍक्विजिशन परचेज ही राईस आणि व्हीट साठी होते. सो देर इज नो ऍक्च्युअल परचेज ऑपरेशन हॅपनिंग ऑन अ लार्ज स्केल फॉर मिलेट्स. If there is a good price and it's then distributed to the PDS, which is what some experts have suggested, that could be one way. But honestly, I don't know how to solve this problem. But I think what you're doing is a great idea to have value-added products made of millets. और हो सकता है कि ज्यादा लोगों को धीरे धीरे समझ में आए. मैं खुद सिर्फ भाकर खाता हूँ, मैं बिल्कुल ब्रेड आज मैंने आपकी कैंटीन में बहुत दिनों के बाद खाया. तो मेरे लिए वो लेकिन होना चाहिए, सबको मिलेट्स खाने चाहिए. इट्स बेटर, सुपीरियर है वो, मतलब वो सुपीरियर प्रोडक्ट है आपके शरीर के लिए.
गरिबांचं अन्न म्हणतात मग एवढं महाग का मिळतंय ते, की पीडीएसला 2-3 रुपये किलो मिळते. मग हेच जे कारण आहेत की कमी उत्पन्न येणं, त्याच्यानंतर शेतकऱ्यांचं नॉलेज नसणं प्रॉपर त्याचा.
म्हणजे ऍक्च्युली सर माझं माहेर नगर रोडला आहे, तर तिथे थोडासा ड्राउट एरिया आहे. आता तिथे म्हणजे माझ्या वडिलांची शेती वगैरे गेली, तर तिथे आम्ही स्थळ केलेलं आहे 2009-10 मध्ये. तर आता तिथे खूप पाणी वगैरे असतं, स्पेशली आता. तर तिथे आता पाणी वगैरे आलं, त्याच्यामुळे लोकांना म्हणजे एक साधन मिळालंय. पहिलं तिथे सगळे कडधान्यच असायचे, म्हणजे तुम्ही काळेवाल म्हणा, सफेद म्हणा, मुलगी म्हणा, सगळे प्रकारचे कडधान्य मागेल. पण हल्ली आता पाणी एवढं झालंय, तुम्हाला बाकी कुठेच नाही मिळणार, फक्त सोयाबीन मिळणार. बिकॉज सोयाबीनचे रेट्स हाय असतात. ऑक्टोबर डिसेंबर मध्ये ते रेट्स हाय होतात. बाजरी जास्तीत जास्त 20 ते 22 रुपये किलोने जाते. पण फार्मर्सला तेवढं म्हणजे फक्त फार्मर शेतीवर पूर्ण कुटुंब अवलंबून असतं, त्या लोकांना ते फार म्हणजे परवडत नाही.
Correct.
म्हणजे बाजरी यावर्षी जर केली तर त्यांना 3-3 वर्ष पुरते. ती बाजरी एवढी स्टॉक मध्ये राहणे पण फार गरजेचं आहे. तर ते एक महत्वाचं कारण आहे की लोक कडधान्यापासून तरकारी मालाकडे जातात, कारण 2-2.5 महिने तुम्हाला ती तरकारी येते, पैसे तेवढे होतात आणि पाणी असतं. तर म्हणजे मोस्ट एक रिझन हे आहे. म्हणजे म्हणजे मला माहिती आहे तिथलं, म्हणून मी तुम्हाला एक कारण सांगते.
तुम्ही म्हणता ते बरोबर आहे. आणि म्हणजे ऑल दीज रीजन्स आर ऑपरेटिंग, तो ये बहुत मुश्किल चैलेंज है. लेकिन ये बात भी सही है की खऱ्या अर्थाने ज्वारी, बाजरी, नाचणी ही तब्येतीसाठी कितीतरी बरी.
आणि जिरायत रान असतं, म्हणजे डोंगर भाग जिथे असतो, म्हणजे पाऊस त्यांना जास्त लागत नाही. 2-3 पाऊस पडले की व्यवस्थित येते ज्वारी वगैरे. पण आता सगळीकडे म्हणजे हे तुम्ही जे पाणी फाउंडेशनचं म्हणतात, म्हणजे वडिलांचं गाव जे आहे ते म्हणजे एक रिझन आहे त्याचं, ते मी तुम्हाला सांगते.
गावाचं नाव आहे
नगर रोडला आहे आणि म्हणून आळेपाटा तिथे आहे. तर मग ते पहिले आम्ही लहानपणी गावी जायचं तर एप्रिल मे मध्ये पूर्ण ड्राऊट असायचं. पण आता तिथे काय
पाणी आल्याबरोबर लगेच
बागायत शेती होते. सगळीकडे ऊस आणि तरकारीच असतो. 2-2.5 महिन्यांचे हातात येतात ते, बाजरी आणि अशाने येत नाही.
There's a question online. Sanjit, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Sir, this is Sanjit here. I'm also a Sparsh fellow with Venture Center, and currently I am in Uttarakhand. So I was not a part of physical meeting there. And as you know, with the Sparsh program, we are doing immersion all over India to understand ground reality of agriculture. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible, Sanjit.
Come there so I can hear you better.
Yeah. So basically, I have 3-4 questions. One is I wanted to understand, since you talked about a wonderful formula on being a catalyst and involving people so that a community-driven exercise can be taken up. Now, you also talked about farming as a farming competition and a farm cup. I would like to know more about it. What exactly the focus in the farming? Is it sustainable farming? So when you say sustainable farming, is it you are talking about natural farming or organic farming or a zero budget farming, which people are talking these days? If yes, then what are the problems which are being a primary focus there? Because when we talk about sustainable farming, one of the problem which we have heard is that production goes very low, right? So how
answer this so that then you can ask the next set of questions?
Okay. Yes.
So the first is what is the Farmer Cup about? So I invite you to certainly go to our website where all the details are available, but I'll tell you broadly what it is. The idea is that in the Farmer Cup, the primary design component that we've brought in is that you must form a group to farm. So let's say I'm a farmer, I've got 2.5 acres of land, 3 acres of land, 4 acres of land, but I grow, let's say, soybean. I have to find 20 other farmers who also grow soybean. I can't combine with the farmers growing makkah. I have to come for my crop because only then I will have economies of scale. So now effectively, instead of having a 3 acre or a 4 acre farm, we are collectively managing a 25 acre farm. Okay. So the first thing is that to encourage gata sheti or group farming. Now in terms of sustainable agriculture. So now these are all minefields, no? Deadly words and all. मतलब वो हर एक का अपना अपना meaning होता है उसमें. But what we have a marking system for the Farmer Cup. The marking system heavily rewards what is called NPM, which is non-pesticide management. So there is no reference in the Farmer Cup to organic farming or natural farming. The reference is to non-pesticide management. And the idea is that in stage 1, can we reduce our reliance on chemical pesticides? How do you do that? You have to do it not basis of conviction कि मैं रोज जाके वहाँ मतलब मैं क्या करूँ? So there is a knowledge which teaches you how to deal with it. So there's a film which we made which is available on YouTube. It's a Marathi film but subtitled in English. It's done in a animation film in comedy form. It's called शेतकऱ्यांचा शोले. So even though you don't understand Marathi, I'm sure you got that. किसानों का शोले. ये उस फिल्म का नाम है. हमारे YouTube पे आप जाके देख सकते हैं. So essentially, there's a lot of hand-holding with the farmers on how to do non-pesticide management. What are the products, etc., etc. There is no question of a fall in productivity. because we have not talked about, so there are two things, a number of things, but one is nutrient management, which is got to do with what do you put in terms of chemical fertilizers into the soil. And the other is pest management. Pest management, we are saying, let's start at stage one by just reducing our reliance on chemical pesticides. And we've had absolutely fabulous results. Means all the results are not out yet, but I think they're on a very, very good wicket. And when the year is out, season is out, we'll have the exact data available. So no, there will be no fall in productivity.
And sir, as you mentioned that you are making groups of people, for example, if somebody is doing soya bean, they are being formed. So I believe these are not continuous landholding groups, right?
You're right. Right. So, but they are not contiguous landholding groups. So what we are doing is that they're all within a village though. So it's not that ki Nandurbar mein ek hai, dusra Nasik mein hai. They are all people who know each other, who meet each other गांव में. और लेकिन उनका land contiguous नहीं है. फिलहाल तो नहीं.
And sir, is there anything regarding the reduction in the monocropping culture which we have in India?
Deadly question. Well done. So yeah, so this is something that we're trying very hard. So you form a group for soya bean, but you can also form a group for soya bean with tur and with moong. So you can have a combination of 4, 5, 7, whatever. We have not kept any limit on it. So only the rule that we have insisted on is कि अगर वो जो group है उसके अंदर जो भी क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न है, मान लीजिए 3 इंटरक्रॉप्स है, तो सबको वो तीनों इंटरक्रॉप्स लेने हैं. And this is something which we are strongly in favor of intercropping and of having biodiversity on the farm. In fact, in year 2, we want to build many layers on top of it. कोशिश तो वही है. हालांकि वो रूल्स में नहीं है. There's nothing in the rules which incentivizes it, but hopefully next year we can even do that in the rules. But the level of the training, it's been a very strong component.
So my other set of questions is that when we visited regions in Uttarakhand and others, so they also have a drought problem here, right? They are also water scarce areas, right? So if we want to get these farms trained in watershed management for their topography, is there any kind of association which can be done with Paani Foundation?
Paani works only in Maharashtra, not because we are for any other reason, but just limitations of our own bandwidth. Because we really want to go deeper into questions rather than wider. Because India, as you all know, now 1/6 of every human being on the planet is an Indian. तो कोई भी मतलब महाराष्ट्र में भी काम करना बहुत मुश्किल है. तो इच्छा होने के बावजूद हम लोग नहीं कर पाते. But all our videos, our training material, even our methods are in the public domain. If anybody else wants to use our methods, we are happy to, train them or share.
Sorry, I lost. Hello, sir. Actually, I dropped, so I didn't able to hear you.
So I'll give you a really short answer. The answer is we don't work in Uttarakhand, nor do we have any plans to work outside of Maharashtra as yet. But we'll be happy to share what we understand and know.
Yeah, that is what I'm asking. Like, if a group of farmers from Uttarakhand or these regions would like to get trained at least on the skills, and so that somebody can lead there and they can implement those things.
Satyajit, as far as farming is concerned, we can have a conversation. But as far as water management is concerned, very topography specific science. Yeah. So it's not कि आप जो महाराष्ट्र में करते हैं वही चीज आप मध्य प्रदेश में कर पाएंगे या राजस्थान में कर पाएंगे, उत्तराखंड में कर पाएंगे. तो आपका जो रॉक है, आपके जो स्लोप्स है, आपके जो पानी उपलब्ध है, आपकी बारिश है, इट्स अ वेरी वेरी लोकेशन स्पेसिफिक साइंस. मतलब वन साइज सॉल्व नहीं है, वो बहुत ही मतलब खतरनाक चीज होगी.
Yes. But this is one problem which I observe, which is there in this region of India, I would say. So I don't know, like if somebody is working there, but yes, I would like to know how that can be solved. Right. And sir, the other thing I wanted to know is one problem, because I was working with farmers in Uttar Pradesh region where we were doing like it was not a competition, but we were doing like group farming, and it was a continuous land farming. So one thing we wanted to know is when you do farming this thing, like when you are talking about reducing the pesticide and this, are there any technical measurement which are being done there?
Yeah, so the measurement that we are doing is that we are testing every group as part of the competition, has to test its produce. So there's a very sophisticated, in fact, the persons who developed it are sitting in front of me. The sophisticated sampling methodology which we've developed, and it goes to a lab called TUV Nord, and we test it for a whole bunch of parameters. And I'm delighted to tell you that our first round of tests for Moog and Udid, it was all below limits of quantification. It is completely clean. There's not even a trace of pesticide on it. And for Udid, we have had 2x production this year with non-pesticide management as compared to last year. So clearly there is some strength in this approach.
Great, sir. Great to hear that, sir. Thank you. There are many other questions, but I would say like there's a lot of other audience who
we are connected on email. I'm sure Mugda ji will connect us and we can continue the conversation. Lovely. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. There's a question from Vandani.
Yeah. Hello, sir. I'm Vandani. I have recently done my PhD in biotechnology and from University of Pune. And right now I'm here as a SI, Social Innovation Innovation Fellow, just like Sanchit. So I am his fellow mate.
Right.
So I wanted to ask, like, when the farmers are coming in groups, so there are, like you said that 20 farmers are together and around 25 acres of land minimum. So this much of land and this much of resources. So what question came to my mind was related to the seeds. Seed availability and good quality seed availability to them. And another question was in different parts of Maharashtra, the soil types, soil composition, everything changes, right? So within a 25-acre area, also it may not be similar kind of because it depends on the terrain in which part of the area it is there. Yeah. So how do you tackle these issues? And who actually supplies the good quality seed? Is it like a kind of seed is also given to them for this competition or something, or they have to?
Okay. So first of all, congratulations on your doctorate. I always feel overwhelmed. Wow, a doctorate! So as far as seed is concerned, this is again a very crop-specific question. So agriculture, since you're all technologists, this it's one of the most. There's no one answer that fits everything. Let's just look at the prime crops of Maharashtra. So there's a Kharif cropping competition. So there are 36 crops, any of which you could do. What is the number one crop of Maharashtra? For good or bad reasons, the number one crop now is soybean, believe it or not. So soybean is number one, cotton is now number two, which used to be number one for the longest. And the third is makkah. If you take soybean, cotton and makkah together, it accounts for almost 90% of land under Kharif. So Baki Sagre is the rest. So now let's talk about what happens with soybean. So soybean, it's very important that a recent released seed is used. So all the three soybean, there are three universities which have done major work, Akola, Parmani and Rauri. They've all done major work, and there are seed breeders who are constantly developing newer and newer genotypes. And they are substantially better than the old ones. So they are, medium, madhyam pratikarak for various diseases, productivity is better, so on and so forth. Correct. So depending on what your problems, for example, if you've got cholera, then there's a different variety you should be taking. So but maybe Nikhil can tell you more since he's been doing very, very detailed work on us. But broadly, let me tell you this, because of the involvement of the scientists from these three universities, these scientists actually sit once a week for 3 hours, and a farmer can connect directly with them. So he can say ki माझ्या शेजाऱ्याची जमीन अशी आहे पण माझी तशी नाहीये, and this is what my soil looks like, and they will take a photograph or they will take a video, and that is communicated directly to the scientists, and the scientists will give that reply. So this kind of customization for your own specific plot of land is built into the design of the program. and Nikki can share the data with you. Literally thousands of questions have been asked, and many of them live from the field. So that's how the customization works. The supply chain for seeds is a very complicated question, but it'll take a very long reply. It's something which I think the government is also extremely concerned about, having a good and robust supply chain. What we do with seeds, however, is two things. We insist that every farmer does what is called Uvad Kshamata Chachani. Then you have to test the germination rate of your seeds, which is a simple test, doesn't cost any money. And many farmers baal bach gaye by just doing this. So these stories also you'll find on our site. They discovered the seed was useless. I shouldn't have bought it. So at least माझा बाकीचा खर्च आता वाचला पाहिजे. So that is one thing we do. The second thing we do with seeds is that here's where technology comes in. Seed treatment has been around forever, but farmers were not doing seed treatment. So you can coat your seed with a fungicide, an insecticide, and with jaivic elements. So there's a specific selection for that for each. So we conducted training with literally tens of thousands of farmers. And I'm very happy to say that this has been accepted on such a robust level that the companies which were doing the supply chain of the seed treatment chemicals reported like a 1000x, 5000x jump in uptake. So there's been a massive awareness now about germination rate checking and about treating your seeds before sowing. So that's something which, again, people's movement upscaled a proven technology. The technology is not as, so the universities has been around forever. We just give it scale. What was the next question you had connected to that? हाँ, specific localization. Localization तो मैंने बताया, वो तो हो ही जाता है.
तो मतलब सोयाबीन, cotton or whatever.
So cotton, for example, is a great one for localization. For example, आपण एकाच गटात आहोत, but you have rich black cotton soil. My soil is Murmad. Your spacing has to be different from mine. So you have to customize the technology basis your specific conditions. It's a tough one. I'm not saying you succeeded. We're just trying. This is an attempt.
पण ह्याच्यामध्ये म्हणजे मला हा प्रश्न असा पण वाटतोय लॉंग टर्म किंवा लॉंग हे की फूड सिक्युरिटीच्या दृष्टीने म्हणजे जसं आता हे म्हणाले की मिलेट्स किंवा आता तर आपण फार्मर्सनाच ऑप्शन दिला आहे की काय उगवा किंवा काय तुम्हाला मिळतं ते कसं पण ह्याच्यातनं काहीतरी असाही गोष्टी प्रमोट होऊ शकतात की तिथे
काहीतरी farmers have to have, if every other person has the right to select what they will do and not do in order to earn a living, farmers also have that option.
I think की प्रमोट करा की म्हणजे इथे काही इन्सेंटिव्ह किंवा असं की जिथे
I don't think any food security is at risk. Buffer stock go down में जगह नहीं होती.
Because that is something which म्हणजे खूप hyped up आहे तेही माहिती आहे आपल्याला.
No, I'm not saying there shouldn't be. I don't think there's any risk to it. I think from what one reads in the press, apparently the situation is very robust.
आणि मग म्हणजे analysis soilचं करायचं किंवा
So we do soil testing. The words are encouraged to do soil testing. We actually, during the water cup part of the marking system of the water cup was testing for soil organic carbon. So that's just one component. But we actually did this ourselves. Like, आम्ही आमच्या हाताने, the BRC, another central government funded institute, has developed a very low cost kit. So it's a technology. They created the prototype and they licensed that technology out to anybody. It's a very nominal fee. It's a beautiful kit. It's color coded. So the color gives you the range. So MKCL Pune, they manufactured the kit and gave it to us at absolutely at cost. काय 15 रुपयात का काहीतरी आपली एक टेस्ट व्हायची नेमका 12 का 15 रुपयात टेस्ट व्हायची ती आणि आम्ही हजारो शेतकऱ्यांचा डेटा आहे आमच्याकडे and you will be horrified to hear that most of the soil of Maharashtra is clinically dead. त्याच्यामध्ये soil organic carbon म्हणजे 0.2, 0.25, 0.3 असंच आहे. So it's a pathetic situation. तर खूप काम करण्यासारखं.
Hello.
Who is this?
Can I ask a question? I'm Rajul, Rajul Bhatkal.
Rajul from Proximal Soil Science.
Yes.
Yes, Rajul. You can go ahead.
Yeah, so sir, ये continuation of your like last ये talk जो कि आप soil testing के बारे में कर रहे हैं, we have also developed a simple kit. We call it soil glucometer जैसी टेक्नोलॉजी हमने डेवलप की है सॉइल टेस्टिंग के लिए, जिसमें हम लोग ऑन साइट इंस्टेंटली 6 पैरामीटर्स अभी टेस्ट कर पाते हैं, पीएच, एनपीके, ईसी और ऑर्गेनिक कार्बन. एंड वी टेस्ट इट लाइक अवेलेबल, मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि आपकी 205 किट, वो अब जो अवेलेबल है प्लांट के लिए, फॉस्फेट, नाइट्रेट, तो वो है. मैंने अभी आपके वेबसाइट पे देखा फार्मर कप, और आप सॉइल टेस्टिंग के बारे में इतना फोकस कर रहे हैं, तो हम कैसे इसके साथ जुड़ सकते हैं सॉइल टेस्टिंग के, हम कैसे फार्मर्स तक रीच कर सकते हैं? तो ये मेरा क्वेश्चन होगा, क्योंकि ये किट के बारे में शायद मैं यहाँ पर नहीं, कभी आपके साथ डिटेल में डिस्क्राइब करूं कि क्या किट है. डॉक्टर प्रेमनाथ जी जानते हैं उस किट के बारे में.
जी डॉक्टर साहब अभी उसी का जिक्र कर रहे थे. तो I mean, frankly, I think that this kit would be enormously useful. So it's really, I mean, there's no question about the fact कि इसकी जरूरत है. और अगर ये अच्छा, ये किट में रिजल्ट कितने वक्त में मिलता है?
सर 5 मिनट के अंदर आपको सारे 6, ये ग्लूकोमीटर जैसी टेक्नोलॉजी है, मतलब आपको हर 30 सेकंड में एक पैरामीटर मिल जाता है.
That's fabulous. So how does it work? There's a sensor in the soil.
It's an electrochemical kind of, exactly ग्लूकोमीटर जैसा ही सोचिए सर. ग्लूकोमीटर में एक स्ट्रिप होती है ब्लड ग्लूकोज की, यहाँ पे 6 स्ट्रिप है.
So this boils down to having detailed discussion, but it's something which we are deeply interested in.
Yes, sure. So yeah, we are in Pune. If you are here, I think my engineer can come and demonstrate it even today itself. We are just very near to Venture Center.
Rajul, I think I have already sent you an email to come and attend the one-on-one interaction. Is it possible to come down in another hour's time to Venture Center?
Yes. At least my engineer can definitely come. I'll just tell him to come.
Great. Look forward to meeting. Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Dhananjay, do you have a question?
Yes, sir. I have a question. सर मैं धनंजय अभंग पुणे से ही हूँ, बट अभी पुणे में नहीं हूँ, इसलिए ऑनलाइन अटेंड कर रहा हूँ. सर, वी एक्चुअली वर्क इन डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड बायोगैस टेक्नोलॉजी. सो वी वर्क विथ फार्मर्स. सो it's a portable plant. It's a prefabricated, ready to install plant. So it is made from a special fabric. It is a foldable plant actually. So we fold it, pack it, and then a small family size plant is installed in just 5 to 6 hours. That's it. Takes around 5 to 6 hours.
Wow.
But mainly what we do is we actually work with small or medium sized dairy farmers, and we actually provide them information regarding they become independent for energy, but as well as they get the organic fertilizer actually.
Right.
So then how can we associate, like, is there any possibility?
This biogas actually is a passion project for at least 2 of us in this room, and we've, as lay people who are not really scientists, we've tried very hard to understand various things. And in fact, I was on the way here, I was discussing with the team how important it is to have a appropriate technological solution for this. So now biogas, Dhananjay, has been looked primarily with farmyard manure as the primary feedstock. And farmyard manure, as you know, is diminishing in quantity for reasons which are outside of your control and my control, and I don't see that changing a lot. But there is enormous quantities of biomass which is available.
Yes.
So is it possible to have a biogas project which is based on a hybrid model where you're using farmyard manure, if farmyard manure is available, and where you're also using biomass, which is essentially the so-called crop wastes or crop remains that are left behind after harvesting, which is available literally in a few billion tons. There are just horrendous quantities of biomass which are available. I'm not, by the way, against the use of farmyard manure at all. I'm saying that's also a great idea. It's just that uski availability बहुत मतलब बड़ी है, फिर भी वो it's not on the rise, it's on the decline.
Yes.
तो ये अगर हाइब्रिड मॉडल हम लोग वर्कआउट कर सकते हैं, तो ये थोड़ा डिटेलिंग का विषय है एंड देयर आर मेनी thoughts connected with it. One is what you do with biogas generated in larger quantities. Because अभी क्या है, I was just discussing with Mugda ji also कि there are two kinds of technologies which are thrown at us. One is the household level, कि घर के लेवल के आप अपना घर के लिए बायोगैस इस्तेमाल कर लीजिए, आपकी कुकिंग नीड्स के लिए आप स्वयंपूर्ण हैं। और दूसरा है कि आप सतत स्कीम के अंतर्गत एक बहुत बड़ा प्लांट लगा लीजिए जिसके ऊपर 50 करोड़ 100 करोड़ 200 करोड़ की इन्वेस्टमेंट है, बट विच आई पर्सनली उसका कार्बन फुटप्रिंट मस्ट बी डिजास्ट्रस बिकॉज यू आर टेकिंग एनर्जी लाइट biomass over large distances, and I don't think that they're sustainable without such a subsidy, but I could be wrong. This is just my layman's guess. कि तो is there an intermediate model possible? And when we meet, I'll tell you. कि जैसे हमारा एक गट है जिसमें 20 फार्मिंग फैमिलीज है, कैन दैट बी सर्विस्ड बाय वन बायोडाइजेस्टर जिसमें आप शेण भी डालेंगे, जिसमें आप पराठा भी डालेंगे, जिसमें आप इवन जंगली घास जो किसी के काम का नहीं है वो ड्राई अप होने के बाद आप जो भी बायोमास अवेलेबल है आप डाल सकते हैं।
सर एक्चुअली उसके ऊपर हमने काम किया है ऑलरेडी। हमने एक्चुअली सर उसके ऊपर ऑलरेडी काम किया है, जो बायोमास है ना एग्री रेसिड्यू
मिलके या मतलब सेपरेट ऑफलाइन ये डिस्कशन अपन लोग मुद्दा जी के शेयर ये इंट्रोड्यूस अस, विल बी वेरी हैप्पी टू हैव अ ग्रैन्युलर डिस्कशन ऑन दिस।
Yes, sure, sir. I'll get into it.
I will be very happy to learn from you. I shouldn't use the word discussion. I can only tell you about our needs. You have to tell me how whether they can be met.
Surely, sir. I'll get in touch.
Very exciting area for us, and I think that this is a great time to be working on this.
Definitely, yes. I'll get in touch. Yes, sure. Thank you.
Thanks.
So I think we can stop for the day now. Thank you so much, Mr. Bhatkal, and let me formally thank you with a small gift from our side. So this is basically from one of our startups. This paper is from works with sanitary waste. The paper is two of our startups in that have collaborated, and
thank you.
This is Paani Technologies. Paper is made by Fuma Labs, Shubham Singh. So this is the paper technology. So he's working with agri waste to paper and furniture items. So he and Paani they work together to make this. This bag is also from Fuma Labs.
Wow.
One for you.
Wow. Thank you.
Social Innovation Center. So this is again from sanitary waste.
Wow.
So it's a sterile sanitary waste, sanitized sanitary waste. So he has installations in several.
But how do we manage to accumulate so much?
So it's at decentralized. So in all our female washrooms here, we have a bin which sanitizes at this thing, and then they process it.
I love handmade paper.
Thank you so much for coming here. Let us join us for a cup of tea, okay? And then we'll have the invite of So thank you so much. The feedback link is pasted here. People, before you leave, just scan the feedback link which is put up there and give your feedback for the session. For the online people, the feedback link is in the chat box. So please fill it up and then you can log off the session. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our conference room. Okay.
मस्त आहे. I really enjoyed it.
तरी photo काढायचे. हा. इकडे.